This episode is sponsored by KIS Academics. Find private tutoring and online courses, including a free one that I did about mastering LinkedIn, on kisacademics.com. Hello everyone and welcome back to an episode of The Student Space. I'm actually so excited for this episode because today I'm chatting with Maddie all about her experience moving from country New South Wales to living on campus at Deakin University in Victoria. Maddie takes us through what the experience is like living on campus. We discuss the pros, we discuss the cons, we discuss the application process, and everything else in between. I'd like to begin by respectfully acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, who are the traditional custodians on this land on which this podcast is recorded on. I pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who may be listening to this podcast. All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Student Space. This episode, I'm welcoming back Maddie, who I spoke to about her Bachelor of Nursing degree at Deakin. But this time we're talking all about her experience where she moved from rural New South Wales to living on campus at Deakin. Now, Maddie, welcome. I'll get you to start off by telling us where you completed your high school studies and what the plans were for university.
So I did year 12 at Albury High School, so the local public high school. And my plans were definitely to move to Victoria, specifically Melbourne, and I applied to universities only in Melbourne and only one backup option, which was just over the border.
Okay, cool. And so why did you make the decision? Why did you want to come to Melbourne?
I think a large part of me was really ready to leave my hometown. I lived there for quite some time. I actually started my really early years of school in Victoria, and then we moved to Albury, and I kind of had decided that I'd outgrown Albury, and I was ready to experience, new bars and new cafes and bigger hospitals, and I'm a big fan of Collingwood, so I really wanted to get to some footy games, and I was definitely ready to start this new chapter of my life in a new place.
And so what kinds of things did you have to research when preparing to move out of home?
A big thing for me, especially in uni choice, was looking at, do they have a college or do they have a res option? And most unis do. And I had to think, was I ready to be in somewhere like Deakin Res where it's all self-contained, so I do my own cooking, or would I want to move to somewhere where that's all provided for me? And did I want communal showers or did I want a private shower? And it becomes this whole thing of what can you tolerate and maybe what can't you tolerate. I've definitely become very, very independent since moving out.
I can imagine. Now, I've got to clarify a few things. Res, this sounds so silly. Does that stand for residential living or something?
Yeah, so it's Deakin residence.
Oh, right. Okay, gotcha. And so, okay, you mentioned different types of accommodation options, and I understand this is probably the same for all like residential or colleges at uni. So you've got some that are self-contained, some that they feed you, some that are private showers and whatnot. Were you only considering this type of living arrangement, or did you ever consider like a share house or something else?
Because I was coming from New South Wales and because I didn't know anyone, I didn't consider a share house in that first year. I definitely knew that I needed to come to res to make friends, be close to everything. And in my first year of uni, I didn't have a car. So I wanted to be able to walk to uni because I also had never caught public transport before. I left my car at home to save money, and I found that I needed to be somewhere where I could walk, I could carry my groceries on the tram, because I live in a self-contained, so I need to make sure that that's all, easily accessible to me. But But, now definitely looking at my third year of uni, definitely ready to go into a share house of some sort.
And that makes sense because now you've developed friendships and you know like where you want to live or who you want to move out with.
I had no idea that there were so many suburbs in Melbourne. I literally thought there were like 9, and then you scroll and you see there's like 4 next to each other, and I'm like, I have no idea where I am. Like, I've gotten lost a couple of times.
Okay, I've got another, you might find this a silly question. How did you get all your things from your home to here? And like, are you bringing furniture across? Are you bringing your bed across? What about all your clothes?
Luckily my dad is a livestock buyer, so basically a farmer, so he's a big car. So what Deakin supplies to you is a desk, a bed, and a chair in your room. And because I live in a apartment style, they've given me a dining table, they give me my couches, they give us a TV. So like all that good stuff that you don't have to like really take with you. But everything from like forks to all my clothes to linen, that I've all had to bring myself. I'm nervous about bringing it all back because there's going to be so much stuff that I've accumulated since also living here.
That's so funny. Okay, how does it work in terms of like how long you stay? Is it per semester or per year? And do you have to renew it?
So it depends on what type you pick when you start. So you can pick only for trimester 1, you can pick for trimester 1 and 2, or trimesters 2 and 3. Trimester 3 is definitely like a summer school kind of, so not everyone's going to be here over trimester 3. Not many people do. So when I applied for trimesters 1 and 2.
Okay. And in the middle for the break, do you go home? Is anyone living there while you're gone?
So I was on placement that whole 4 weeks. So I was here.
Oh.
So I haven't had a break. I've been go, 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 go. I have not had a break from uni this year. So that's why I really definitely need a holiday.
Yep.
So a lot of people did go home over the break. It's not like I have a friend who lives at UC at Melbourne Uni, and they have to pack up all their stuff in the middle of the year.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like they have to leave for 4 or 5 weeks or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I said to her when I was working, I said, hey, do you want to catch up? We're so close to each other. And she said, I'm at home. I'm back in Albury. We can't live on our res over break. And I was like, what? What? And she's like, you can't unless you pay to stay that extra couple of weeks or something. And I was like, what? And both my older cousins went to UC and they said the same thing. They used to come home for 4 weeks. I remember they would come home and I was so excited to see them.
Wow.
Because they would babysit me for 4 weeks when I was younger.
Well, there you go. Okay, and so you're in like an apartment style. What other styles of res are available to students?
So I live in a house of 6 and you've got your studio apartments, 2-bedroom apartments, 4 to 5 bedroom apartments, and then you've got 10-person houses.
Wow. And okay, you're a party of 1. Do you elect who you want to live with, or do they just randomly put you together?
Totally random. You can't even put preferences in. They don't allow it.
What if you had a friend?
You can't live with them. I requested to live with a friend and they were like, no requests. Sorry.
Oh.
Res is not as lenient as Deakin is with this kind of stuff. Res is quite strict.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha. And so what's your experience been living where you are currently? Have you been living in the same place for the last, 2 years?
So I have been living I picked the exact same building this year as I did last year. Different floor this year and different side of the building. But I am at the top floor. We call it the penthouse. My roomies say we're going to the penthouse. It's pretty good. I really enjoy it. It's a good time up here in my building. There's definitely some cliques. You'll get, who your friends are. And the 10-person houses is where we go and party on Tuesdays. for uni night and stuff.
That's what I want to hear.
Yeah. So like a lot of my friends are down there. A part of me, I could have lived down there, but I thought about the mess of living with 10 people, and that did turn me off, and that's why I'm up here, so that I can have a bit more like order, I guess you could say.
Yeah, totally. Okay, give me some quick pros and cons.
Okay. Pros, you are with your friends all the time. Cons, there is a noise curfew.
What is it? What time is it?
It's 11 p.m.
Okay, that's all right. I thought you were going to say like 9 o'clock or something.
It's 11 till 9 a.m. When we go out, like we do party till a certain point and then we go out. So they're pretty good with that. I think with COVID, there's been a lot of groups of 20 and the security guards come over and they will push you and say like, you need to stay over there, you need to stay over there. And so there's probably been a lot more altercations with security than last year, just based on the fact that people are like, we are separated, we are social distancing, we're not sharing cups, we're just trying to have a good time. But I think like pros, like Deakin also provides lots of like opportunities to get free coffee, and during lockdowns they've been providing, snack drop-offs, and during exams they send us Red Bull, and like, we have family catch-ups as a house where like a floor, like we're getting Hungry Jacks or something on Friday as a floor to be like, happy like August or happy September, like hope you're doing okay, we support you.
It's a really nice community feel is what I'm getting from you. This is great.
It is good. And like you walk past people and you'll say like, hey, how are you? Or, oh, were you here over the weekend? Oh, you went home, how's home? Like there's that mutual chat about where do you live, and like, what do you do? And what are your parents like? Or can I come to your house over summer? Like,
I love that. Okay, and so I have to ask, this is a question everyone's thinking. Living on res or living at college is really expensive, right?
Yeah.
How do you manage the finance side of everything?
I'm pretty fortunate. My parents help me out a lot. So they pay for my rent, but my food, my transportation, everything is on me. So I budget everything from how much I spend on alcohol and mixers and cups, and like that's a whole section in itself, and how much I pay for parking for work. And I have my car this year, so filling up my car and stuff like that is all me. But I'm really grateful that my parents, when I said to them when I was a lot younger, I wanted to go to uni, they had already been saving to help me out one day. Because my partner, who I did meet on res, he pays for his himself.
Oh, wow. Okay. Are you able to share some ballpark figures? It doesn't have to be what you pay, but it can be just like roughly, like if you're staying in the 10 better, the 10 house, the 10 shared house, it's this, or the little apartment, it's this, or if you're renting out a home just in a shared house, it's this.
Based on my res, studio, 2 people, 4 to 5 people, they all have air conditioning and they are a lot more expensive. And then it comes to mine and then the 10 bed. I pay $1,100 for the month. And that is, that's all my water, all my electricity, internet, rent, and all the events that res puts on for us. And so I'm fairly sure the difference between myself and the 10 bed is about $30 or $40. So if you are looking for something a little bit cheaper, like it does mean living with 4 other people and the houses are quite old. I'm in the newest building, but we pay less than the people in the older building because they get air conditioning.
Ah, okay. This is good insight.
Yeah, and like I have the fan and like it doesn't bother me, but like I know for some people they would need air conditioning. And on level 7, today, because it's been a sunny day in Melbourne, I've had window open, fan on, because it does get hot up here.
But that's okay. We can make do. And you're not like living in there 24/7. You're studying, you're going for walks, you're on placement.
Exactly. There's not really any difference between them besides, you know, because even though the Ville, we call it the Ville, the 10 beds, it's like where we hang. The Ville, really big rooms is like the one benefit, and you can bring a double bed from home and put the slats on, and you can turn your bed into a double bed.
Oh, there you go.
Fun fact, if you come to Res next year and you're in the Ville, bring a double mattress and make a double bed.
There you go. There's some inside scoop. And okay, are there any financial assistance programs, or like I'm guessing you could get scholarships for this too, right?
Absolutely. I had a friend who was on Res this year, and last year last year was her first year. She was fighting the bushfires at the start of the year.
Yep.
And she won the bushfire scholarship, and they paid her rent in full.
Wow, that's great.
She was going, like she explained, like everything she's had to go through for the summer, and then she's had to go straight into uni, and they said, we'll pay for your rent, we'll give you the scholarship. We don't do it very often. And so she hasn't had to pay for rent.
So lucky, but obviously very well deserved.
And very, very well deserved. And like, there's definitely payment programs that you could pay weekly, payment programs where you could say, can I pay half, you know, and there's definitely ways that you can still live on res if you're worried about the money side of it. There's always someone to help you. Campus life is where you would go to talk if you were in that kind of situation, and campus life is great. They're basically like a mental health, and they kind of help the well-being and everything of res. And you had an issue, you would go to them. Sometimes they haven't been super lenient with people, but they are pretty good.
That's so good to know. I've got another thing, and I know this is probably pre-COVID as well. What about having guests over? So like, can you have people stay at your apartment or your place, or is it really strict in terms of security?
So last year, because I was only here for a little bit, the only guest I had over was my boyfriend that I'd only really met like a week or two before. And so if you live on res, you can have like your resies over. We're called resies at Deakin, by the way. It's our little nickname, but you can have a resi over.
Love it.
But if you want to have somebody outside of res, they've got to be over the age of 18, and you have to apply for a guest pass for them to come.
Ah, interesting.
And they've got to sleep in your room with you. You can't put them on the couch because that's a communal space. So you can't just chuck them on your couch in your house. So you've got to either put them in your bed or buy a blow-up mattress. Because of COVID, if there are restrictions saying you can't have people over to your house, even intimate partners can't come to res.
Oh.
So my boyfriend this year doesn't live on res, so I can't have him, and technically I can't go to see him even though intimate partners is in place, because you can't go to other people's house if you live on res.
Ah, well, there you go. And I'm sure this will change depending on COVID restrictions. But it's interesting to know like what's actually happening right now.
Yeah, and like Deakin security is really, really great. We have an app where you call security straight away. They're on the back of our key cards, and you can call them and they're there. I've had security walk me from the tram stop after placement to res before. So they've done the 10-minute walk with me. Which is super lovely, and so they are really, really great. And like if you've got an issue or a noise complaint, like they're there straight away, and they're trying to do the best by enforcing COVID. Obviously, sometimes you can get a bit upset with some of the rules, but like I guess they're just there doing their job.
That's good to know, especially like those times when you are coming off public transport late at night, that you feel safe. You feel safe on campus, you feel safe on res.
Absolutely. It's so safe, res. Security's out all the time. They're always walking around, easy to call.
Love it. And so how do you stay in touch with friends and family back home now that you've moved out? Did you find it really tough?
This year's been really hard because of the current restrictions, and because I was on placement for a long time. I haven't been able to see my mum now in 3 months.
That's hard.
I come from a really big Greek family, so I miss all my family like so much because we're so close knit. And
love it.
Like my papa, he calls me every day and says, "How are you? Like I hope you're okay. I miss you," because he's like my best friend. Like I love him to bits. and it's been really hard in that sense. But I still have been able to see some of my family because my dad has an agriculture permit, so he is able to cross in to Victoria. So I've seen him a couple of times, which has been really nice. But prior to lockdowns and stuff, my parents would come and watch the footy and come and see me, and I could go home. I would go home in the intra-trimester break and go for like a couple of days and hang out with mum and dad. I went back for Easter for a week. So before lockdown 5 and 6, I was seeing them pretty much every couple of weeks so often. But we have so many good like technology now. Like I FaceTime my mum like maybe like twice a day just to be like, what's going on? How are you? Like, and now that they're on lockdown, it's nice to be able to be like, haha, welcome. Like,
Exactly. It's so true. You've like hit the nail on the head with everything. Like pre-lockdown, it's kind of like normal life. We can travel back and forth, and a lot of people would do that. And I guess we're just waiting for this lockdown to break so that we can finally have some normality.
Absolutely. And like my mum and dad went and got vaccinated because they thought that they maybe could cross the border if they were like got vaccinated and stuff. And I was like, oh, guys, I don't think you can. But like also great. Like I'm so proud of you guys. You're doing the right thing, and I couldn't ask for much else.
Love it. And so, okay, have you got any advice for students thinking about moving out of home for university?
I think if you're going to come to res, apply early. Normally it fills up quite quick, and that first year I was worried I wasn't going to get a spot. This year it was easier because of COVID, but I definitely think maybe next year with some possible normality, it's important to get in and, you know, and also really finding like what you think is right for you. Come and have a look at res. After being accepted, and I came and saw the uni and res for the first time. So I was able to come in and have a look at a room like this and go, oh, this is great. You know, this is exactly what I've picked. I'm glad I've picked it. And definitely do the res open days. Come and have a look. I know this res open day this year was during one of our, like, we call it DISO week. It's like a second O week. And I did run up to a bunch of new kids dressed as Tinkerbell, and I was like, welcome to res.
That's so funny. I've got another question. Based on applying, what did you have to do? Do you have to write a personal statement? Do you have to like do a down payment?
So it's super, super easy. You literally just make an account with Deakin Res, and you go in and pick your preferences and just say if you would rather live with boys and girls or co-ed, it doesn't bother you, or rah, and that's it. And you just wait for the email. You just wait.
Okay, makes sense. So much easier than applying and writing a whole essay why you want to live there, blah, blah, blah.
And like none of that. I think I applied, I got my uni offer, and then I was waiting, and that got me super anxious. I was like, I didn't get a spot on res. Where am I going to live? 2 days later, it came in. I was on res.
Whew, thank goodness.
I know.
Okay, and last question. Is there anything else that you'd like to add that we haven't talked about moving out of home, or is there anything that you wish you knew before you made the big move?
I wish I knew how to cook more. I've had to learn, and I've had to see trial and error, and even things like what you can freeze with, what can go in the microwave, what that stuff. I'm so dependent on my mum. Like and washing, and have like a week where you can at least sit down and be like, Mum, can you teach me like 5 easy recipes? Or Mum or Dad, even like show me how to put the clothes in the washing machine. Or like, I've never used a dryer in my life. I saw a dryer on res and was like, what can I put in the dryer? And my mum was like, I don't know. We have a clothesline at home. Like I've never seen a dryer in my life either. I was like, oh,
this is the best.
Great.
But
don't put your nice clothes in the dryer.
You don't want to shrink them.
I had no idea.
This is so relevant because so many students are thinking the exact same thing. So anyone listening, you are not alone. Do not stress what to do to cook, what to put in the dryer. Everyone's in the same boat.
Exactly.
Oh, I love this. This chat, Maddie, has been so great, and I know it will help so many students, particularly a lot of rural students who are looking to relocate to a big city. So thank you.
Absolutely. I'm glad I could spread some light, I guess.
Absolutely. Now, if anyone has any more questions about moving out of home or staying on res or studying at Deakin, Maddie has a nursing Instagram account, which I will link in the show notes as well. So you'll be able to find her if you need.
Yeah. Come ask questions. Happy to answer. Thank you for having me.
If you like this episode of The Student Space, you can find us on Instagram at the.studentspace, and it's just The Student Space on Facebook and LinkedIn. Also, if you have any requests for podcast episodes in the future, do reach out to us on Instagram DM and I'll make that happen. If you'd like to support us further, follow us on Spotify or subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. Alternatively, I would love for you to leave a review. Thanks everyone. Bye.